Imagine it's July 7th, 2016. The city of Delhi is dead silent. It's past midnight in Dwarka, Delhi. People are asleep. Streets are deserted. Inside flat 302, everything should be normal. A young man, recently married, a local celebrity is at home. But something is off. The air feels heavy. Gaurav Tiwari walks into the bathroom. He locks the door. 1 minute passes. 5, 10. Then, thud. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a struggle. It was the sound of a weight hitting the floor. When the door is finally forced open, he is lying there, unresponsive. No note, no intruder. The window is too small for a human to crawl through. It is a locked room mystery in the truest, most terrifying sense. India's most famous paranormal investigator was dead at 32. But here is the thing. He didn't believe in horror movies. He believed in data. So, how does a man who fights fear with science lose his life to a mystery that science can't explain? Today, we deep dive and try to unfold the mystery. To understand how Gaurav died, you have to understand how he lived. Gaurav wasn't born a ghost hunter. He started as a dreamer. In the early 2000s, he was a young actor in Bollywood. You can still spot him in small roles in films like 16 December and Tango Charlie. But in 2007, he left the film sets behind for something higher, the sky. He moved to Florida to train as a commercial pilot. Gaurav wasn't some guy who watched The Conjuring and decided to buy a camera. He was a pilot. Being a pilot is about one thing: logic. If a light blinks on your dashboard, you don't pray. You check the sensors. You trust your instruments more than your eyes. But in his apartment in Florida, his instruments started failing him. He lived with 4 other pilots. These were rational, tough-minded guys. But they all started hearing it. Whispers in the kitchen when it was empty. The sound of heavy boots walking down the hallway when everyone was in bed. Gaurav did what a pilot does. He investigated. He checked the AC vents for wind whistling. He checked the pipes for water hammering. He even checked the foundation for structural shifts. He found nothing. This is the origin story. This is the moment the skeptic realized that there is a frequency in this world that our ears aren't tuned to. In 2008, while still in the US, Gaurav did something no Indian had ever done. He didn't go to a temple or a cave. He went to the Paranexus Anomalous Research Association. He became a certified paranormal investigator. When he landed back in India in 2009, he was a different breed. He founded the Indian Paranormal Society, IPS. Think about the vibe in India back then. If a house was haunted, people called it tantric. They threw lemons and chilies. Gaurav showed up with a K2 EMF meter and a thermal imaging camera. But Gaurav wasn't just a TV face. He was a media powerhouse. From debating skeptics on national news channels like Aaj Tak to joining international teams on Sci-Fi's Haunting, Australia, he was on a mission to rebrand the paranormal. He was the man National Geographic called when they wanted the truth about Bangar Fort. He was the voice on the radio at midnight, telling you that the shadow in your room probably had a logical explanation. He was everywhere. A man at the peak of his career, working to replace superstition with sensors. He famously clashed with producers. They wanted drama. He wanted data. They wanted jump scares. He wanted silence. This tension is what made him legendary. He was the only man on television brave enough to look into a dark corner and say, "There is nothing here." He would walk into a haunted bedroom and show the family that the ghost was actually a high electromagnetic field coming from an old fuse box. He explained that high EMF can cause the human brain to feel watched or nauseous. He debunked 90% of the cases he went to. He was a hero for the skeptics. But it's that other 10%, the cases he couldn't explain, that started to change him. By 2015, Gaurav had investigated over 6,000 locations. Imagine the mental toll. If you spend 6,000 nights in places where people have died, where trauma is soaked into the walls, where fear is the only emotion, Gaurav started using a word that should scare you: attachment. He told his family and friends that spirits weren't just tied to houses. He believed they could latch onto a person's energy field. He stopped being the confident pilot. He became withdrawn. He told his friends, "A dark force is pulling me. I'm trying to control it, but it's difficult." Just weeks before July 7th, he said something chilling to his friends. "If I die, don't assume it was natural. Something is following me." Now, let's go back to the locked bathroom where he died. This is where the official story falls apart. The police declared it a suicide by hanging. They said he used his wife's dupatta and tied it to a bathroom fixture. But let's look at the math. Gaurav was a tall, athletic guy, nearly 6 feet. Standard apartment bathrooms in Dwarka aren't cathedrals. They have low ceilings. If you tie a cloth to a shower rod or a geyser pipe and you are 6 feet tall, your feet are going to hit the floor. In forensics, this is called partial suspension. It is almost impossible to commit suicide this way by accident or impulse. It takes a terrifying amount of willpower to stay in that position. And then there's the thud. If you are hanging, you don't make a loud thud on the floor while the door is still locked. A thud means a fall. When his father broke the door, Gaurav was on the floor. The most controversial piece of evidence: the black mark. His father, Gaurav Tiwari, was the first to see him. He didn't see a thin red line from a silk dupatta. He described a thick blackened ring around Gaurav's neck. Some witnesses said it looked like he had been throttled by a giant hand. But remember, the door was locked. The window was tiny. Could a human have done this? No. Could Gaurav have done this to himself? Physically, it's a stretch. So what are we left with? The EMF theory. Gaurav spent a decade holding EMF meters. These devices measure radiation. Some believe that long-term exposure to high-frequency equipment can cause micro-seizures in the brain. It can cause a person to act out in a state of walking sleep or a fugue state. Did his own tools break his brain, or did his attachments finally pull the cord? Here is my view. I don't think Gaurav Tiwari was killed by a cinematic demon with red eyes. But I also don't think this was a normal suicide. I think Gaurav Tiwari became a human lightning rod. He spent so much time in high-stress, high EMF, high-trauma environments that his own biochemistry changed. He was a pilot who lost his instruments. He was flying blind in his own mind. I believe that on July 7th, he had a massive psychological and physiological collapse. This collapse was triggered by the very attachments he spent his life studying. Whether those attachments were spirits or just the residue of fear, they were real enough to end his life. The scariest part of this story isn't the locked bathroom. It's the fact that a man so dedicated to truth died in a way that left us with nothing but questions. Gaurav once said, "Fear is only as deep as the mind allows." It seems, in the end, his mind allowed it to go too deep. Gaurav Tiwari brought science to the dark corners of India. He gave us a way to look at the unknown without shaking in fear. But I want to know what you think. Was it the partial suspension logistics that don't fit? Was it the pilot's mindset that eventually snapped? Or do you believe in the attachment? Drop your theories in the comments. I read all of them. This is I Think. What do you think? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more deep dives into the mysteries that refuse to stay buried. Stay safe, stay skeptical,